Hello. Okay, this week we have a fun one. Parents, this is a resource just for you. Also, if you're not parents and you're watching this is also a resource for you. Adult age. Important to know because the book we are looking at this week is called To Hell with the Hustle by Jefferson Bethke. It is reclaiming your life in an overworked, overspent, and overconnected world. Sound familiar? This is seriously probably my favorite book. One of my top 5 for sure. If you meet me on the street randomly and ask me what my favorite book is, off the top of my head, besides Bible, of course, this will probably be what I say. It came out in 2019. I read it every single year. Some years I've gone through it twice. It's just that good. I think it's something that we so desperately need in the world that we're living in today. It's just great. So this book is definitely written for millennials. Shout out to my fellow millennials out there. But if you're also like Gen Z, Gen X, I think this is also a great read. Anyone who's really in college and older, pick up a copy. It's so good, so good. We're gonna get into why it is titled this. I know it's a very unique title. I've been a huge fan of Jefferson and his wife Alyssa over the years, and just the work that they're doing and the ministry that they have and how they're so intentional with their family. I'm just a fan. I think they're great. But this book in particular has just been one that has stuck with me, and I personally need it as a reminder every year to set aside the noise and to focus on what truly matters and what's in front of me, and that is my relationship with Christ and my family. And so we're going to dig in a little bit of what's inside. He packs so much information into the short read. It's only like 184 pages, so it's a short, pretty easy read. Mine is marked up quite a bit on the inside. I also really love the audio version, so I listen to it on Audible majority of the time just because it's easy to do when I'm driving in the car. But Jefferson actually reads it, and so he adds in a little bit extra stuff here and there, but you can really hear his heart and passion behind the words that he has in these books. So I'm gonna read a little bit. This is out of the first chapter. It's called A Time to Resist, but it's going to give you a little bit of insight to what the book is and what it's about and where it's going. So let's read. It's time to stop and consider the cost of all this hustle and all the speed, all this disillusionment. And just like most antidotes, I think a better way forward comes in administering the very opposite of the disease. We are slowly crushing our souls with noise, fame, work, and tribalism. We're living in our own private hills that are dragging us down spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So I say to hell with the hustle. And I mean that in 2 ways. To hell with it, meaning I'm done. Full stop. We can defiantly say no to where all this is headed. And 2, I also truly mean to hell with it. Jesus was never in a hurry. Jesus was the fully human one, the prototype of all humanity. And I think we can pretty easily see that he was someone actively resisting cultural pressures on many levels. Hustle isn't him. And if hustle isn't him, there's only one other place it could come from: hell, the curse, the source of death. I am realizing that only those who are anchored in a richer and deeper and more meaningful experience than the one our culture is currently offering won't get sucked away. So what is this book about? It's about the disease, but mainly about the cure. It's about silence, obscurity, rest, and empathy, the things that make us deeply and profoundly human. And we do well to hold on to them during a time when no one else is. Because in truth, I'm over it. I'm over us being statistically the most anxious and depressed generation in history. I'm over friends by the dozen struggling to find any sense of purpose or meaning. I'm over people destroying their lives, relationships, and marriages on the altar of working themselves to death. And I'm over simply living in a society where franticness and a tornado of the soul are the norms. What you're reading right now is me putting my fist in the air and saying, no, I'm done. I will not take one step further down this path. I refuse to glorify and elevate the grind, the hashtag no sleep movement, the noise, and the little commodification of our personhood through these little rectangular glass devices in our pocket. Who's with me? So that's kind of the opener. It goes in so much more. He gives a lot of history, which I love, about just our Western civilization and how we got to where we are, and kind of gives you like a framework to look at of how our society has gradually changed over years and years, and how we've gotten to the point now where we're so consumed with our phones and working and hustling and trying to get to the next thing and keeping up with the Joneses. But that's not how we were wired. We're not meant to take in the amount of information that we take in a day. How it's so important that we stop and we turn it off. He talks a lot about resting and Sabbath, something that's very foreign to most of us, but how incredibly important it is in our spiritual walk and for our families. He talks about not setting goals, how we should have formations. Who are we becoming like? Obviously, as Christians, we want to become more Christ-like. And so what are the rhythms that we're setting in our life to become more Christ-like with our family? Learning to say no, not filling our calendars to the brim so that there is room to get to know our neighbors next door and across the street, and to spend time with our family and be there whenever our friends call us, so where we're not so busy that we say, man, I really can't help right now, or pray with you, or, like, I can pray for you, but I'm kind of detached right now because my schedule's so busy. Like, having that margin, we're able to be there for the people that need us the most. And how it's okay for us to be in desert seasons and not share that with anyone on social media. How we are designed for community, and our community is super important, by our close friends and our family who walk with us, especially in our spiritual life, but not posting all of our info on the internet, so that we can spend time in the desert with the Lord, where he can teach us and grow us and help us to become more like him. So obviously I have a lot of feelings about this book. Like I said, it is hands down one of my favorite books. I think everyone needs to read it, especially now. I mean, this hits on politics. It's so relevant to right now, and so I highly recommend getting it. I'm going to link it down below where you can find it easily on Amazon to purchase. Again, you can listen to it on Audible or wherever you listen to your books. Make sure to like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the resources that can help you and your family grow closer to Jesus. So I'll see you next week. Have a good one.